The sun was going down behind the strange blue mountains, and the little alien village was getting quiet. Most people were busy closing their doors. Scared of the dangerous forest that started just past the last house, it was a normal evening. Until a small alien girl with silver skin and big purple eyes ran into the main path. Her bare feet hit the ground fast. Her chest was moving up and down as she tried to catch her breath. She looked around, hoping someone would help. But the villagers only looked at her for a moment before turning away. Everyone knew this girl. Lyra, the daughter of Maya, who was a kind woman, but always a little different. Lyra's voice shook as she cried out, "Please, someone help. My mom is trapped. The Sky Hunter took her." But no one moved. Instead, old people shook their heads and whispered to each other. "It's too dangerous. The Sky Hunters never bring anyone back," said one man. Another woman closed her window, as if the sound of trouble could get inside. Her home Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to give up. She ran past the fountain, through the crowd, straight towards the one person she thought might help. The human man, Ethan, was new in the village. He didn't look like anyone. Alstaller, with brown skin and short black hair. And his eyes always watched everything. He was sitting on a stone step, cleaning his boots after a long day of work. Suddenly, Lyra grabbed his hand, her small fingers cold and shaking. "Please, human, you have to help me," she begged. Her voice no louder than a whisper. "My mom is stuck in the Sky Hunter's nest. You're the only one who can help. Please, please." Ethan was surprised. He had heard stories about the Sky Hunters, about people disappearing. But he never thought he'd be asked to face them himself. He looked into Lyra's eyes, saw how scared she was, and remembered being a lost child himself long ago. He tried to ask her, "What happened? How do you know where she is?" Lyra nodded quickly, wiping her tears. She went to the forest to find moonflowers. For my birthday, she never came back. Lyra whispered, "Last night, I saw a shadow in the sky, huge wings. It dropped something. In the tallest tree, I know it was her. I just know." Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and anger in his chest. He knew what it was like to lose someone. He looked around. None of the other villagers would meet his eyes. Some even shook their heads, warning him with silent looks. But Ethan couldn't turn away from a child in need. He stood up, dusted off his hands, and said softly, "I'll help you, but you have to show me the way." Lyra's face changed. Hope returned to her eyes. She held tight to his hand as they walked past the edge of the village, where the forest waited like a giant, dark mouth. The first step inside the woods made Ethan's skin prickle. Everything was glowing flowers, bugs. Even the air itself seemed to shimmer with blue light. Strange sounds came from the shadows, and the ground was soft with fallen leaves. Ethan looked up, trying to see the sky, but the trees were so thick that only tiny bits of sunlight came through. Lyra walked ahead, brave but shaking. She showed Ethan the path her mom always took when she needed to collect rare flowers. They walked in silence, every step taking them farther from the safety of the village. Suddenly, a loud screech split the air. Ethan pulled Lyra behind a fallen log. Heart pounding, he peeked over the log and saw it a giant sky hunter. Flying in circles above the tallest tree, it had metal feathers that shone in the fading sunlight, and its eyes were bright gold. Ethan's mouth felt dry. He had never seen a creature so big, so wild. Lyra's hand shook in his, but she didn't run away. "That's the nest," she whispered, pointing to a massive bundle of sticks and bones near the top of the tree. "My mom is up there. I know it." Ethan wanted to say it was impossible, that no one could survive in a sky hunter's nest. But he saw the hope in Lyra's eyes. He couldn't break it as the sky grew dark. They hid together and watched the sky hunter settle on its nest. Lyra pulled out a small piece of cloth. "It's my mom's scarf," She dropped it when she was taken. Lyra said, holding it close. Ethan promised her, tomorrow. We'll climb that tree. We'll find your mother. I promise. That night. As they made a tiny campfire and shared a piece of bread, Ethan wondered what kind of person he would be if he walked away. He decided he wouldn't. The adventure had started, and nothing would ever be the same again. The night in the glowing forest was full of strange noises. Ethan and Lyra sat close together by their small fire. The shadows around them moved in the flickering light. Sometimes they heard the distant cry of a night bird, and sometimes the trees seemed to whisper secrets. Lyra was quiet, but every now and then, she would look up at the sky and clutch her mother's scarf a little tighter. Ethan could not sleep. He kept thinking about the giant sky hunter and the dangerous climb they would have to make. He looked at his hands and wondered if they would be strong enough. He tried to remember if he had ever climbed a tree that tall, but the trees back on Earth were never like these. The air was thicker, filled with the smell of flowers and wet earth. When he finally closed his eyes, he saw the golden eyes of the sky hunter in his dreams. He woke up before sunrise, the forest still dark and cold. Lyra was already awake, watching him. She didn't say anything, but her face said everything. She was scared, but she trusted him. Ethan stood up and stretched, trying to hide his worry. We'll have to go before the sky hunter wakes up, he whispered. Lyra nodded. They packed up their tiny camp, careful not to leave any sign behind. Lyra led the way to the big tree, her small feet moving quickly over roots and stones. When they reached the tree, Ethan looked up and felt dizzy. It was even taller than he remembered, its trunk wide and covered in blue moss. High above, he could see the sky hunter's nest, huge and messy, made of sticks, bones, and old clothes. He saw something shiny up there, something that looked like a piece of metal. Ethan turned to Lyra. You stay here. I'll climb, he said, but Lyra shook her head. I'm coming, she's my mom, she said softly. Ethan wanted to say no, but he saw the fire in her eyes. He knew she would follow him anyway, so he nodded. They started to climb, moving slowly. The bark was rough and sometimes slippery, but there were enough strong branches to help them. Lyra moved like she had done this before. Ethan followed, careful not to break any branches. His heart beat fast every time he heard the wings of the sky hunter flap above them. Halfway up, they stopped to rest on a thick branch. Ethan looked down and saw how high they were. The ground looked very far away. Lyra pointed to a bit of cloth caught on a branch. It's my mom's dress, she whispered. That gave Ethan more strength. They kept climbing. Finally, they reached the nest. It was bigger than Ethan's bed at home, and it smelled of feathers and old food. They hid behind the thick side of the nest. Ethan carefully peeked inside. He saw the sky hunter sleeping, its wings folded, breathing deep and slow. The beast was even more frightening up close, but what caught his eye was something else. A woman, tied up with thick vines, lying quietly in one corner of the nest. It was Lyra's mom, Maya. Ethan turned back to Lyra and nodded. Lyra covered her mouth so she wouldn't cry out. They crawled closer, making almost no sound. Ethan reached the vines and began to untie them. Maya opened her eyes and gasped when she saw her daughter, Lyra. She whispered, tears running down her cheeks. Lyra hugged her mom tight, but Ethan warned them to be quiet. The sky hunter stirred in its sleep. Ethan worked faster, hands shaking. At last, Maya was free, but as they started to crawl away, a branch snapped under Ethan's foot. The sky hunter's eyes shot open. A loud screech filled the nest. The beast stood up, spreading its giant wings. Blocking their way, Ethan pushed Lyra and Maya behind him. The sky hunter lunged, sharp beak snapping. Ethan grabbed a broken branch and waved it at the beast. He shouted, hoping to scare it. The sky hunter hesitated for a moment. Surprised by the human's bravery, Ethan moved quickly, grabbing Maya's arm. They climbed out of the nest as fast as they could. Lyra went first, then Maya, then Ethan. The sky hunter followed, wings beating the air, making the whole tree shake. Ethan looked down and saw the ground far below. He knew they would never make it before the beast caught them. Suddenly, Lyra shouted, "Jump to that branch." Ethan and Maya followed her, leaping to a thick branch that bent under their weight. The sky hunter snapped at them, but missed. Ethan threw the broken branch at the beast, hitting its wing. The sky hunter screeched in pain and flew back to its nest. For a moment, they were safe. They climbed down as quickly as they could. When they finally reached the ground, Maya fell to her knees. Hugging Lyra, Ethan fell back. Breathing hard, he looked up and saw the sky hunter watching them from above. The rescue was not over. The beast was angry now, and the forest was still dangerous. But at least, for now, they were together again. The forest was still dark as Ethan, Maya, and Lyra rested under the twisted roots of an old tree. Their hearts were beating fast from the escape. And Maya was still holding Lyra so tightly it was hard for the girl to breathe. Ethan listened for the sound of the sky hunter, afraid it might swoop down any second above them. The huge bird creature circled its nest and called out, its cry echoing through the trees. It was clear the sky hunter was angry now. Ethan knew. It wouldn't just let them go. He looked at Maya and saw that she was weak and shivering. Her arms had marks from the vines and her dress was torn, but her eyes were strong and full of love for her daughter. Lyra hugged her again, whispering, "You're safe, Mama. You're safe." But Maya shook her head. "We're not safe yet. Lyra, the sky hunter will hunt us." Ethan nodded. "We need to get away from the tree, fast." He checked his small bag and found a piece of bread, a dull knife, and a bit of rope. Not much for a rescue, but he knew he had to try. The three of them moved quietly through the forest, keeping close to the thickest trees and biggest roots. Sometimes they crawled. Sometimes they ran. The forest was waking up, birds singing and bugs buzzing. But every sound made Ethan jump. Lyra helped her mom walk, but Maya limped. Her ankle twisted from when the sky hunter had dropped her. Ethan wrapped the rope around her ankle to make it stronger. He wished he had more supplies, but there was no time to go back to the village. Suddenly, a loud flapping noise filled the air. The sky hunter was coming. Its wings beat the air like thunder, and its shadow passed over them. Ethan pulled Maya and Lyra into a thick bush. They held their breath, hoping the beast wouldn't see them. The sky hunter landed in the clearing with a crash, sniffing the ground and looking for the scent of its lost prey. It tore at the earth with its claws, angry and wild. Lyra squeezed her eyes shut, holding Maya's hand. Ethan was ready to fight if he had to, but after a while, the sky hunter screamed and flew up again, searching from above. Ethan waited until it was gone before they started moving again. The ground was rough and full of rocks. Maya stumbled, but Ethan caught her. He carried her on his back while Lyra walked beside them. They crossed a small river, the cold water making their feet ache. On the other side, they found a hollow log and crawled inside to hide. Inside the log, it was dark and safe for a while. Lyra asked, "Why does the sky hunter hate us, Mama?" Maya whispered, "It doesn't hate us, Lyra. It's just hungry, and its nest was empty." Ethan listened to their soft voices and felt a pain in his heart. He remembered his own mother's stories about wild animals. He wished he could protect Lyra and Maya the way his mother had protected him. Suddenly, Maya coughed. Ethan felt her forehead. She had a fever. He knew they needed to get help soon, or Maya would not make it. He remembered a plant that grew near the river, one that healed fevers. He told Lyra to watch her mother while he crawled out of the log and searched along the riverbank. Every second felt dangerous. He watched the sky, worried the sky hunter might see him. But he found the plant, its blue flowers glowing softly in the morning light. He picked a few and hurried back inside the log. He made a paste from the flowers and spread it on Maya's forehead. Lyra looked at him with hope. Ethan smiled and said, "Your mom will feel better soon." But outside, the sky hunter's cry sounded closer. They had to move again. Maya tried to stand, but she was too weak. Ethan carried her, his arms shaking from the effort. Lyra led the way, following a narrow animal path through the forest. Suddenly, Lyra stopped ahead of them. The trees ended, and a wide field opened up. At the far end of the field, Ethan could see the village, but between them and safety, the sky hunter landed with a loud crash, blocking their way. Its wings spread wide, eyes fixed on them. Ethan put Maya down and stood in front of her and Lyra. He picked up a thick branch, ready to fight. The sky hunter screamed and rushed at them. Lyra screamed too, but Maya held her close. Ethan swung the branch as hard as he could. He hit the sky hunter on its beak. The beast was stunned for a moment. Ethan shouted, "Run! Go to the village!" Lyra and Maya tried to run, but the sky hunter recovered quickly and spread its wings to chase them. Ethan threw the branch at the sky hunter. Hitting its eye, the creature screamed in pain and turned away from Maya and Lyra. Ethan yelled again, "Keep running!" He ran after them, but the sky hunter was still behind them, angry and wild. They were almost at the edge of the field. The village houses in sight. Ethan knew this was their only chance. He grabbed a stone and turned to face the beast. This was the moment everything would change. Ethan stood at the edge of the wide field. Gripping the stone in his hand, his legs shook, but his eyes stayed on the sky hunter behind him. Maya and Lyra were almost at the first small house of the village. He could hear Lyra shouting for help, her voice full of hope and fear. The sky hunter screeched, furious that its prey was slipping away. It flapped its giant wings, and the wind almost knocked Ethan over. He braced himself, knowing he had to give Maya and Lyra more time. The villagers started coming out of their houses, drawn by the noise and Lyra's cries. At first, they were scared, staying back from the field. No one had ever dared fight a sky hunter before. Ethan shouted at them, "Get help. Take care of Maya. Don't let the sky hunter get to the village." Some villagers ran to pull Maya and Lyra into a house. Others just stared, unsure if they should help or hide. Ethan threw the stone with all his strength. It hit the sky hunter's wing, and the creature turned its sharp eyes to him with a terrible cry. The beast charged at Ethan. Ethan ran sideways, trying to lead the sky hunter away from the village. His feet pounded the hard ground, dust flying with every step. The sky hunter swooped low, its claws digging into the earth behind him. Ethan dove behind a fallen log, just missing the monster's attack. He crawled fast, searching for anything else he could use. His hands found another branch, thick and strong. He stood and waved it above his head, shouting at the sky hunter, "Come on, you ugly bird. I'm not afraid of you." The villagers watched from far away, some calling for Ethan to run, some too afraid to speak. Ethan's heart raced, but he stood his ground. The sky hunter charged again, wings wide and claws ready. Ethan swung the branch and hit the creature's leg. The sky hunter screeched, its beak snapping so close Ethan could smell its breath. It pecked at the branch, breaking it in half. Ethan jumped back, tripping and falling to the ground. He rolled away just as the sky hunter's claws smashed the dirt where he'd been. Pain shot up his arm, but he ignored it. He scrambled to his feet, his mind racing for ideas. He saw a sharp piece of metal near the field's edge, maybe from an old farming tool. He grabbed it, holding it like a small sword. The sky hunter circled him, its golden eyes filled with anger and hunger. Ethan knew this might be his last chance. He waited, letting the creature come closer. The villagers were shouting now, some throwing rocks, some banging pots to scare the beast, but the sky hunter only cared about Ethan. It lunged again, beak open wide. Ethan dodged and stabbed the metal piece into the beast's side. The sky hunter roared in pain, its wings smashing into Ethan and throwing him to the ground. Dust filled his mouth and eyes. He heard Lyra scream his name. He coughed, trying to breathe, his whole body hurting. The sky hunter limped away, angry. And bleeding, it stared at Ethan with hate, then turned and spread its wings. With one last screech, it flew up into the sky, leaving drops of bright blue blood behind. Ethan lay on the ground, shaking, but alive. The villagers rushed to him, some amazed, some cheering. 2 strong men lifted Ethan and helped him to the house where Maya and Lyra were hiding. Inside, Maya was lying on a bed, pale but awake. Lyra ran to Ethan and hugged him, tears streaming down her face. "You did it. You saved us," she cried. Ethan smiled weakly. "We all helped, even the villagers." One of the elders nodded. "No human or alien ever fought a sky hunter before. You are very brave, Ethan." The healer checked Maya's ankle and gave her medicine for her fever. Other villagers came to thank Ethan, some bringing bread, others leaving flowers. Lyra sat by her mom's side, never letting go of her hand as the sun set. Ethan watched the sky turn gold and pink. He felt tired, but in his heart, he knew he had done the right thing. He thought of his own mother and wondered if she would have been proud. The village was safe for now, but everyone knew the sky hunter might come back. Ethan promised himself he would be ready if it did. That night, there was a small celebration. Children danced around the fire, telling the story of the brave human who fought the sky hunter. Maya sat by the fire, smiling at Ethan and Lyra. Ethan felt like he had finally found a place where he belonged, but deep in the shadows of the trees. 2 golden eyes watched the village, waiting for another chance. The stars filled the night sky as the village slowly went quiet again. Ethan could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the sky hunter's golden eyes watching from the dark trees. He heard every soft noise outside, wondering if the beast had returned. But there was another feeling inside him to something warm and strange. He had helped Lyra and Maya, and the villagers had thanked him like he was a hero. It felt good, but it also felt new and scary. He kept thinking about his old life on Earth, the people he missed, and the home he had lost. Maybe this village could be his new home, he thought, down the hall. Maya and Lyra were resting in a small room. Lyra was asleep, one hand holding her mother's, the other clutching the soft scarf. Ethan had rescued from the forest. Maya was not sleeping, though she lay awake, listening to the quiet sounds and thinking about the nightmare in the sky hunter's nest. She was grateful to Ethan, but she was also worried. She knew the sky hunter was not gone for good. Early in the morning, before the sun rose, Ethan got up and went outside. The village was silent, the sky still purple and dark. Ethan walked around, checking the doors and windows. He made sure everything was locked and safe. He looked up at the edge of the forest and thought he saw a shadow move. His heart jumped, but when he stared harder, there was nothing there. He turned back, telling himself not to worry. But then he heard a faint cry, almost too soft to notice. Ethan followed the sound around the corner of a small barn. He found a tiny animal caught in a trap, a wild forest pup with bright blue fur. It was crying, its paw stuck in a metal loop. Ethan knelt down and carefully opened the trap, letting the animal go. The pup looked at Ethan with wide eyes, then ran into the trees. Ethan smiled, feeling good for helping. But the strange feeling stayed in his chest. He wondered if he could really protect everyone in the village from something as big as a sky hunter. As the sun began to rise, people woke up and started their morning work. Maya limped outside, using a stick for support. Lyra helped her walk, her face bright with hope. Villagers gathered around, asking Maya if she was all right. Ethan stood with them, but he kept looking at the forest. One of the village elders called for a meeting by the fire. Everyone sat in a circle as the elder spoke. "We must talk about the sky hunter," he said. "It is hurt, but it is not gone. We must decide what to do if it comes back. We need a plan to keep the village safe." People murmured, some scared, some angry. One person said, "We should build a wall around the village." Another said, "We should set traps." A third suggested, "We must pray to the spirits for help." Ethan listened. But he thought of something different. He stood up and spoke. "We can't just hide and hope the sky hunter leaves us alone." He said, "We need to work together. We need to watch the sky, keep the children inside, and help each other if the beast comes back. If we are brave and smart, we can protect this village." Maya nodded in agreement. "We survived because we trusted each other," she said. "Ethan risked his life for me and Lyra. We can do this if we stand together." The villagers nodded, hope slowly returning to their faces. Lyra squeezed Ethan's hand. "You're not leaving us, are you?" she whispered. Ethan shook his head. "I'll stay," he promised. "I'll help keep everyone safe." That day, everyone worked together. They built new fences, fixed old doors, and set up a lookout near the edge of the forest. Children stayed close to their parents, watching the sky. Ethan helped teach the older boys how to use sticks and stones for defense. He watched the forest carefully, always ready for trouble, as the sun set. Maya cooked a simple dinner for Ethan. She thanked him quietly, her voice soft but full of meaning. "You saved my life, Ethan," she said. "You saved my daughter's life too. I will never forget it." Ethan looked down, embarrassed. "I just did what anyone should do," he replied. But Maya shook her head. "Not everyone is as brave as you," she said. Ethan smiled, feeling shy. Lyra grinned, happy to see her mother smile again. But as night fell and everyone went inside, a cold wind blew from the forest in the shadows. The golden eyes of the sky hunter opened. It was not finished. It was angry, wounded, and ready to get its revenge. The village would soon face its greatest test yet. That night, the wind howled through the village, shaking the doors and windows. Most of the villagers were too afraid to sleep. Some sat near the fire, telling old stories and hoping for morning. Others watched the treetops for any sign of movement. Ethan could not sit still. He walked around the edge of the village with a strong stick in his hand, listening for any sound. Maya and Lyra waited inside their small home, Lyra clinging to her mother's arm. The room was dark. But Maya tried to be brave for her daughter. She whispered to Lyra, "We are safe. Ethan will protect us." But Lyra was not sure. She stared at the window, eyes wide, wishing her father was still alive. She missed him the most when she was. Scared, Ethan's heart pounded as he walked. Every shadow looked like the sky hunter. Every branch moving in the wind made him jump. He stopped by the lookout tower, where an old man stood guard with a lantern. Ethan asked him, "Have you seen anything?" The old man shook his head. "Nothing yet, but the birds are quiet. That means something is coming." Suddenly, a scream echoed from the far side of the village. Ethan ran towards the sound. Villagers came out with torches, their faces pale. Ethan reached the edge of the fields and saw a small barn on fire. The sky hunter was there, wings wide, claws tearing at the roof. It was even bigger and angrier than before. Its feathers looked darker in the firelight, and blood still stained its side. The villagers shouted and threw stones, but the beast didn't care. It smashed the barn. Looking for anything to eat, Ethan shouted, "Get back! Don't let it see you." The villagers hid behind trees and walls. Lyra and Maya heard the noise and hugged each other. They prayed that Ethan would be safe. Ethan knew they could not win by fighting the beast head-on. He needed a plan. He looked at the burning barn and saw the water barrels lined up nearby. He shouted, "Bring the barrels." We can make the ground slippery." A few brave villagers rolled the barrels to him. Ethan kicked one open, letting water spill out. The ground turned muddy and slick. The sky hunter stepped forward, its claws sliding in the mud. It shrieked, trying to keep its balance. Ethan yelled, "Now! Throw stones at its eyes." Everyone with a stone threw as hard as they could. A rock hit the sky hunter's face. The beast screamed and reared up. Wings flapping wildly, it slipped and fell, crushing part of the barn under its weight. But it was not beaten. It got up, furious, and charged at the crowd. People ran in every direction. Ethan ran too. But he stayed close to the beast. He waved his stick. Trying to get the sky hunter's attention, the beast turned on him, snapping its beak. Ethan dodged. Barely missing the sharp beak, he ran towards the old well in the center of the village. The villagers watched in shock as the sky hunter chased Ethan. He jumped over the well, grabbing a rope that hung from the side. The sky hunter lunged after him, but its claws caught on the stones around the well. It tried to pull free, but the rope tangled around its leg. Ethan saw his chance. He shouted, "Help me tie it down." A few villagers ran over, throwing more rope around the beast's other leg. The sky hunter struggled, but the ropes held tight. For the first time, the beast was trapped. It roared and flapped its wings, but it could not fly. Ethan stood back. Breathing hard, sweat pouring down his face, he looked at the villagers. "We have to keep it tied until sunrise," he said. "The light will scare it away, maybe for good." Maya and Lyra came outside. Running to Ethan, Lyra hugged him, crying, "You're safe. You're safe." Ethan patted her head, his hands shaking. The sky hunter screamed and pulled, but the villagers kept the ropes tight. All night, people watched the beast, keeping it trapped. Some were afraid, but others felt hope for the first time. Maybe the village could survive after all. As the sky turned pale and morning light touched the ground, the sky hunter grew weaker. It stopped fighting and looked up at the sun. Finally, as the first sunbeam hit its feathers, the sky hunter let out a sad cry and tore itself free. It flapped its wings, lifting into the sky. The ropes fell away. The beast soared above the trees and disappeared into the clouds. Everyone stared in silence. Ethan let out a long breath. He knew the sky hunter might never return, or maybe it would, but next time, they would be ready. Maya squeezed Ethan's hand. "You saved us again," she said softly. Lyra hugged her mother and Ethan. The village was safe, for now, but everyone knew the world was still wild and full of danger. Ethan looked at Maya and Lyra. He felt something strong like hope. Maybe he could finally call this place home. Sunrise brought a new peace to the village. The fires were out, and the smoke faded slowly into the brightening sky. Children peeked from windows, their eyes wide with wonder and relief. The grown-ups looked tired but hopeful, talking in soft voices about the battle they had survived. Ethan walked through the village, every muscle aching but his heart feeling lighter than ever. Wherever he went, people thanked him, some with quiet words, some with shy smiles, some with simple food or flowers. He tried to tell them it was not just him, that everyone had been brave, but they kept saying, "You gave us courage, Ethan. You showed us how to fight. We are not afraid anymore." Maya and Lyra stood together outside their home. Maya's ankle was still weak, but she smiled. Holding Lyra's hand tightly, Lyra's eyes shone with pride. She followed Ethan everywhere, always asking questions and telling him stories. For the first time in a long time, laughter and hope filled the air. But deep inside, Ethan wondered what would happen next. Would the sky hunter come back, or had they really driven it away for good? He knew this world was still full of danger, but he also knew something else now. He was not alone anymore. He had friends, a place, and people who cared. The villagers gathered by the big fire at the center. Ethan stood with them as the village elder spoke. Last night, we saw what we can do when we work together. For many years, we lived in fear. We let the sky hunters rule our lives. But now, because of Ethan, because of Maya, because of little Lyra, we know courage lives in all of us. Let this day be remembered. Let us teach our children that even the biggest monsters can be beaten if we stand together. The villagers cheered. Some wiping tears from their eyes, Ethan looked at Maya and Lyra, feeling a strange happiness growing inside him. Lyra ran to him and hugged him tightly. "Will you stay with us forever?" she asked in a small voice. Ethan smiled, kneeling to meet her eyes. "If you want me here, then yes, I would be honored," he answered. Lyra's face brightened with joy. Maya came closer, her eyes soft with gratitude. "You have a home with us, Ethan. Always," she said. The villagers decided to make new plans for safety. Some people wanted to build stronger fences and higher lookouts. Others wanted to explore the forest to learn more about the sky hunters and other creatures. Ethan offered to teach the children how to climb, how to hide, and how to protect each other. He told stories about his own world, making the children laugh and dream of faraway places. Maya made special meals for Ethan and taught him how to use alien herbs and spices. Lyra never left his side, proud to call him her friend. As the days passed, the village changed. People walked taller, smiled more, and helped each other with small and big problems. The fear of the sky hunter was still there, but it was smaller now. It could not control their lives anymore. One night, as Ethan sat by the fire with Maya and Lyra, the stars above them shining bright, Lyra spoke softly. "I used to wish my father would come back, but now I know I am safe. I have a new family." Ethan felt tears in his eyes, but smiled. He knew he could never replace Lyra's father, but maybe he could be someone she could count on. Maya put her hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You gave us back our lives," she whispered. Ethan looked at the glowing coals and thought about his own lost family. For the first time, the memory was not so heavy. He had found a place where he was needed and loved. Far away, deep in the dark forest, the sky hunter watched the village from high above. Its wounds had healed, but something inside it had changed. It was not just anger or hunger now. It felt respect and a strange kind of fear for the small beings who had stood together against it. Maybe one day it would come back, maybe not, but the village was ready. The people were not the same as before, and neither was Ethan, as the moon rose and the world grew quiet. Ethan whispered, "Thank you." He was not sure if he was thanking the stars, the spirits, or the brave little alien girl who had pulled him into her world. But he knew, deep in his heart, he had finally found his true home.